Gemini 3 was just released and it is said to be the best LLM in the world. We've waited 8 long months for Google to come out with this and they did not disappoint. It is really incredible. I've already seen some really cool stuff being generated with this new model, and after doing a bunch of my own testing, I'm excited to show you what this thing is capable of. We can see a preview of what's already been created with Gemini 3. There are a bunch of apps and look at this UI, it really looks amazing. And as you chat with it, it'll be able to generate user interfaces and code that you can interact with on the spot. And if we head over to the Gemini release notes, this section here goes over how you can upload a video of people playing pickleball, and Gemini 3 is able to analyze the game and even help you improve your technique. So in this video, I'm gonna break down everything that you need to know about this new model, like how does it compare to the other leading models like ChatGPT 5.1 and Claude Sonnet 4.5? How much does it cost, and what is it capable of when using it to power AI agents? Of course, I'm going to walk you through connecting Gemini to an AI agent within n8n, and then we're going to do a bunch of really cool demos, including agent tool calling, analyzing images, and comparing it to the other leading models. To overview, Gemini was released on November 18, 2025. It's Google's most intelligent AI model, enhancing reasoning and multimodal capabilities. Multimodal meaning it can process multiple types of data like text, images, audio, and video. So now those capabilities have been greatly improved. It's designed to perceive subtle clues in your requests and figure out the context behind what you're asking. That means for us, we get better results with way less prompting. As for the availability, it's available all throughout Google's ecosystem. So through the Gemini app, Google Search, Google AI Studio, and the Google Developer API, which is what we use to connect it to n8n. Now let's take a look at what we've all been waiting for, the benchmarks. This comparison table gives us a bunch of benchmarks showing us how Gemini 3 scored compared to Gemini 2.5, Claude Sonnet 4.5, and GPT 5.1. So as you can see, Gemini 3 blew all these other models out of the water. Here we've got the Humanities Last Exam, which is a very popular benchmark that covers pretty much everything from mathematics, science, computer science, and humanities. Gemini 3 scored 37.5% with no tools and 45.8% with search and code execution. Compare that to Gemini 2.5 Pro at 21.6%, Claude Sonnet 4.5 at 13.7%, and GPT 5.1 at 26.5%. So GPT 5.1 came the closest, but still 10% under Gemini 3. Then there's the AIM 2025, which is a mathematics benchmark, and it was actually able to ace this exam with code execution. That's 100%. That's insane. The only benchmark that it was not able to score higher was the software engineering bench verified. And of course, Claude Sonnet 4.5 took the cake for that one, which I'm not surprised about because Claude Sonnet 4.5 is the go-to for coding nowadays. There are notable improvements for visual understanding. If we take a look at ArcAGI 2, which is a visual reasoning puzzles benchmark, Gemini nearly doubled the accuracy compared to GPT-5. And if we take a look at Screen Spot Pro, which is a screen understanding benchmark, Gemini more than doubles the accuracy compared to Claude. Before we move on, I want to quickly show you one more. So take a look at Vending Bench 2. This one is pretty cool. So if you don't already know, Vending Bench 2 covers long horizon agentic tasks. The way it does this is by giving the model access to control vending machine logistics and seeing how much money it can make. So it has to plan things out like stocking products and making sure it has the right products for the right customers. So typically models are only really good for simple one-step tasks. And so this measures how well the model performs with tasks requiring multiple steps and future thinking. So Gemini was able to get over $5,000 in net worth, which is much better than the competition. So it's really awesome to see that Google is moving in the direction of making these models able to handle long horizon tasks. All right, now let's get into another important metric, pricing. So here I came up with a table displaying the model, the context windows, and the price for the input and output. The first three here are models within the Google Gemini family, and then there's Claude and GPT. The context windows are pretty similar across the board. So 1 million in and 64K out means the model can handle up to 1 million input tokens and 64,000 output tokens. And tokens are just a measure of text. Typically, one token is equal to 4 characters of text. The price for Gemini 3.0 Pro Preview is $2 per million input tokens and $12 per million output tokens. Compare that to Gemini 2.5 Pro, it's $1.25 per million input tokens and $10 per million output tokens. And then Gemini 2.5 Flash is 30 cents per million input tokens and $2.50 per million output tokens. So in the Google Gemini family, the 3.0 version is more expensive, but I think that's justified based on how well it performed in the benchmarks. When you compare Gemini 3 to the competing models like Claude Sonnet 4.5, Claude Sonnet is $3 per million input and $15 per million output, which is a bit more expensive than Gemini 3. And then GPT 5.1 is $1.25 per million and $10 per million output tokens. So that is a bit cheaper. But again, Gemini 3 dominated on the benchmarks earlier, so I think that justifies the higher price. I am curious to see how fast Gemini 3 is compared to these models, so we'll see that later on in the video when we do the demos. A couple days ago, I made a video about GPT 5.1 and it was running pretty darn fast. Okay, so for the next part of the video, we're going to be working within n8n, which is a no-code automation platform. Like I said, I'll first show you step-by-step how to connect Gemini 3 to an AI agent. Then we'll do a demo where we connect Gemini to an agent that has access to a bunch of tools so that we can test Gemini's ability to use tools with speed and accuracy. And finally, we'll do some image analyzing using different models and then compare the results. And maybe I'll throw in a bonus demo at the end of the video. Alright guys, here we are inside of a new workflow in n8n. If you've never hooked up an AI agent before, it's super simple. I'm going to show you. So you come into the sidebar over here and you find the AI agent. Then all you do is drag it in and boom. Here's our AI agent connected to a chat trigger. So in order to access the chat and send messages to the AI agent, you would just open up this bottom panel and here is the chat window that you can send messages to and get responses from your AI agent. Now there's an error because we don't have a brain connected to our AI agent yet. This is the LLM. So we're going to hook up Gemini 3 now. You'll click the plus icon under chat model and you see we have a list of all these model providers on the sidebar here. You've got DeepSeek, you've got OpenAI, Grok, OpenRouter, Ollama, and then here is Google Gemini chat model. So I'm going to choose that one. And now we can configure this node and set up our credentials in order to connect our Google Gemini account with n8n. So to do that, you'll click the create new credential button. And here we need an API key. So we're going to go over to Google Gemini and get that API key. So all you're going to do is go to Google AI Studio, log in, and then click Get API Key down here in the bottom left. Then you'll click Create API Key up here and give it a name. I'll call it n8n testing. Then I selected my imported project. You can create a project or import one. Then you'll click Create Key. And just like that, we have our brand new API key that we're able to copy and paste into n8n. Once you paste it in, you'll click Save. And it should say connection tested successfully and you're good to go. Then you can choose a model from this list. So any of the Gemini models here, I'm going to, of course, search for the 3. There it is, Gemini 3 Pro Preview. So now we're able to open up the chat again and send a message to our model. Let me just remove this current execution. I'm going to say, hey, and now Gemini 3 is going to respond to us. Hey there, how can I help you today? So this is the chat model approach to using Gemini 3. But you could use the built-in n8n nodes designed for different Gemini 3 usages. So to do that, you click the plus icon and search for Google Gemini. And here we have all these nodes that we could use to interact with the Gemini 3 API. So we have Analyze Audio, Transcribe a Recording, Analyze Document, Analyze an Image, Analyze Video, Generate an Image, or Message a Model. So if we use the Message a Model node here, it's pretty much the same thing as setting up this. So let's click that. And to use any of these nodes, you would just connect the same credential that we just made. Then you'd come in here and configure the node according to your use case. So you choose the model. We'll choose Gemini 3. You'd give it the prompt. You'd specify the output. You'd give it tools. And then you can just come out here and connect the chat trigger to this node and drag in that chat input to the prompt. And you're good to go. Either of these methods will work. Now, something important to know is that by default, the Gemini 3 API is using the high/dynamic thinking. So that means the agent we just made is using the high thinking by default. If we wanted fast, lower latency responses when complex reasoning isn't required, we'd need to switch over to the low thinking level. Now, unfortunately, in these chat model nodes, there is currently no option that we can configure in order to use the low level thinking. So what we'd have to do is create our own HTTP request node to interact with the API directly. And that's exactly what I just did here. So I have this HTTP request node that I configured by importing the curl from the API here. I selected low thinking and copied the rest and then pasted it into here and then clicked import. And that configured the node up front for me. But then I had to make some updates like updating the body content type and dragging in the chat input from the chat trigger, and also connecting the Google Gemini API credential that we created previously. But this way, I'm able to chat with the Gemini 3 using the lower level thinking. I'll leave a link in the description so that you can download this template for free if you want to use this method. Hopefully sometime soon, n8n will update the Gemini nodes with the level of thinking options so that we don't have to do this workaround. Anyway, that's how to connect Gemini 3 to AI agents in n8n. Now let's move on to running some demos. Alright guys, so here is our first demo. We'll be running image analysis with Gemini 3, ChatGPT, and Claude. So all three models will analyze the same image that we upload to this form, and then we'll compare the results. I figure a good use case for image analysis is setting up automations and AI agents to track business financials, which could involve analyzing receipts. So I found this crumbled up Costco receipt in my jacket pocket a few minutes ago, so I'm going to upload this as our first test case. So I'll execute the workflow, and the form will pop up, and I'll choose that file. There we go. And then watch as all three of our models are going to analyze that receipt. All right, it finished up, so let's check out these results. So this first one here is Gemini 3. Based on the image provided, this is a Costco wholesale receipt for a refund transaction. Here are the specific details for the receipt. Store location, King of Prussia, PA. Transaction type, refund/membership. Item returned, item number, Medea 8K BTU. This is likely an air conditioning unit. That's true. Okay, this looks pretty good. Let's go down to ChatGPT. This image shows a receipt from Costco Wholesale. It appears to be a refund transaction at the King of Prussia location in Pennsylvania. The item refunded is a Medea 8K BTU priced at $239.99. With tax, the total refunded amount is $253.39. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's more of a summarized version with plain English. And then down here we have the Claude response. This is a Costco wholesale receipt showing a membership refund transaction. Here are the key details. Store information, Costco wholesale, King of Prussia, then the address, transaction type refund, item details, Medea 8K BTU, original price. So honestly, these all look pretty good, but I think the best one was Google's because of the fact that it said this is likely an air conditioning unit. I just think that's a good piece of context to include. I think it kind of read between the lines and kind of understood that not everybody would understand what a Medea 8K BTU means, and that's why it included this piece of information. But they all are pretty similar, and they did a great job at analyzing the receipt. And just keep in mind that all of these nodes have no formal instructions. They all just say what's in this image, so it's pretty open-ended for the model to interpret. Okay, now we're going to do another analysis. Since I have a bunch of plants around me, I'm going to go ahead and upload a picture of that one back there. All right, here we go. I'm going to upload that file now. All right, guys, so they just finished up. Let's check these out. So Gemini 3 says, based on the image, this is a Monstera, commonly known as Swiss cheese plant or Swiss cheese vine. Here are a few more details about what is in the picture. The plant. It has distinctive bright green leaves with natural oval-shaped holes in them, a process called fenestration. It appears to be in a vining plant that is currently growing relatively upright. The pot. It is planted in a classic reddish-brown terracotta pot with a matching saucer underneath to catch water. The stand. The pot is sitting on a wooden slated plant stand or shelf. The lighting. There is a bright warm light source coming from the left side of the image, likely sunlight or grow light. So it organized and described all the different objects in the image and gave us some extra details about why certain things are used and why certain things happen. For example, the saucer is used to catch water, and then the oval shapes in the leaves are because of a process called fenestration. Let's check out the GPT version now. The image has a Monstera plant, also known as Swiss cheese plant, characterized by its distinctive leaves with large holes. The plant is potted in a terracotta pot and is placed on a wooden stand. So that's a concise summary compared to what Gemini gave us. And then here is Claude's version. This image shows a Monstera, also known as Swiss cheese vine or monkey mask plant, in a terracotta pot with a matching saucer. The plant is displayed on a wooden slated plant stand or shelf. Key features visible in the image. Characteristic fenestrated leaves. Leaves with natural holes, perforations, bright green foliage in various stages of growth. Climbing, trailing growth habit, typically of the species terracotta pot, which is ideal for drainage. Simple wooden display stand, indoor setting with natural colored walls. This is a popular houseplant known for its unique perforated leaves and relatively easy core requirements. So this one also had a lot of detail and descriptions for the different objects in the photo. I think it was pretty much on par with Gemini 3, if not better. So based on this test, if you were building an app that analyzes different types of plants or determines plant health, for example, then you'd probably want to consider using Gemini 3 or Claude, and then continue testing the performance of both. If I remember correctly, Claude was a bit more expensive, so Gemini might be the winner here. All right, guys, so for this next demo, we're going to have Google VO3 generate a video for us, and then we're going to have Gemini 3 analyze that video. We'll see what happens. And by the way, analyzing video is something that only Gemini 3 can do. ChatGPT and Claude do not have that feature yet. So for the test, we'll say Pink Floyd album cover, Burning Man handshake. Okay, so it's generating the video now using VO3, and in a second here, it's going to move on to the analyzing video node. I'll let you know when it's done. Okay, it just finished up generating. Let's check out the video real quick. So it's two guys in like a desert setting, shaking hands and their hands go on fire. Not quite like the Pink Floyd album, but we'll take it. Let's see what the analyzed video node said. The video depicts a cinematic scene of two men shaking hands against the backdrop of a desolate, apocalyptic landscape bathed in a deep orange haze. Here are the specific details. Two men wearing denim jackets stand in profile facing each other. They clasp hands firmly in the center of the frame. The background features a dusty orange sky and silhouettes of strange jagged structures or ruins in the distance. The camera slowly zooms out, emphasizing the handshake as a moment of agreement or alliance in a harsh environment. The clip features a heavy, energetic rock or metal instrumental track with driving drums and distorted guitars. So not only did it analyze the video, but it also analyzed the audio in the video. And it did a really good job at both. So this is great if you're building systems to analyze video. An idea off the top of my head is like an app that lets users upload videos of them doing certain workouts at the gym, and then the AI is able to give them advice on their form. Or maybe you're recording your screen for some onboarding processes at your company. You could feed that video into this model and it'll create text documentation based on that video. So there's a lot of good use cases for this, and maybe I can make some videos showing how to build these systems in the future. Finally, guys, we're gonna do this last demo here where we're gonna test Gemini with an AI agent that has access to a bunch of Gmail tools. This is the ultimate Gmail assistant. I have a video about it here. Anyway, it can send emails, reply in thread, label emails, create drafts, get emails. So let's ask the agent a question. I'll say, get all my emails and summarize. And let's see what happens. So it's thinking. It knows to use the get emails tool. Goes back. Oh, but we get an error here. It says, please check your parameters. So let me open up this into a bigger view. Function call is missing a thought signature in function call parts. This is required for tools to work correctly. So there is the function call signature in this request, but it looks like it wants it to be in snake case. So this looks like something that n8n has to fix. You know, we could go into the options here, but I don't think there's anything to fix that. Yeah, there's nothing. So this is something that n8n is going to have to fix in order for us to use tools with our Gemini agents. Actually, guys, I spoke a little bit too soon. I didn't want to give up there, so I tried using the Gemini node for sending a message to a model, and it worked. I just connected the Gmail tool to this one, and I sent the same chat, get all my emails, and then it ended up using the get emails tool. So now what I'll do is copy the system prompt from this AI agent and put it into that node. So I'll add a system message and paste this. Then I'll connect all these tools. Okay, there we go. I got all the tools connected to the messaging model Gemini node, and I still have them connected to my AI agent. So we're going to be able to test Gemini versus OpenAI now. So to start off, I said get my latest 3 emails and summarize, and it's doing its thing. If you haven't noticed yet, it is structured a bit weird. There's the content with parts and then text. So I'm going to try to extract this text so it just returns a text to this message thread. So I'll add a edit fields node here. And I'll add a field called output and drag in the text like so. So now I'll try this again. I'll say, summarize my latest email. And now the edit fields turned the output from Google Gemini into a proper response for our chat thread. Your latest email is from Supabase with the subject, welcome to Supabase. It is a welcome message introducing Supabase as a Postgres development platform. Awesome. Let's give this a proper test. I have 3 emails in my Gmail account. And so what I'm going to ask it to do is summarize my latest 2 emails, send the summary to businessforreal@gmail.com with a beautiful HTML design, then label both those emails in Gmail and draft a reply to the latest one. All right, we'll send that off and watch it work. So Gemini 3 is thinking. It's using the get emails tool and the get labels tool. It's using the get labels so it knows which labels it has available so it can use the proper one to label them in Gmail. Okay, it's using the send email tool, the label email tool twice, the create draft once. All right, looks like it did a really good job at that. Let's check the chat here. I have successfully processed your request. Let's see. They're labeled with the star. That's not quite what I was looking for. I wanted it to label it with one of these labels, not the star, but that's okay. Here's the draft to the latest email. Hi team, thanks for the update on AI agent rollout. The improvement in response speed to 4.3 seconds is excellent news. Looking forward to phase 2. Best, Kyle. Signed off as me, which was in the instructions, so it's following the instructions properly. Let's go check my other email to see if we got that email. Now here is that summary sent to my other email. Latest email summary, weekly product update from this email. From Business Freel, summary, the team has successfully completed phase 1 of testing for the internal AI agent. Then 2, your order 4831 has been shipped. Great news regarding 4831. It is officially shipped and is scheduled to arrive by Thursday. So this is pretty nice looking. It obviously used HTML like we asked it to. Total execution time for that was 28 seconds. So now let's test GPT 5.1. I'm going to give it the same exact prompt. Let's see what happens. Okay, just finished up. It looks like it did everything properly. Let's check the speed. 29 seconds. So a couple seconds faster. So yeah, labeled it properly. And then if we look at the summary email we got in our other email, it actually looks really good, probably better than Gemini 3 to be honest. So my consensus on this is that if I'm making an agent that requires a lot of tool usage, I'll probably go with GPT 5.1. And then for tasks like analyzing images or videos or generating certain pieces of content, then I'll go with Gemini 3. Again though, n8n definitely has to make some updates to these Gemini nodes so that they work with agentic tool calling and so that we can switch between the low-level thinking and the high-level thinking. Overall though, Gemini 3 is a very solid model and I'm definitely going to be utilizing it in my future automations. So guys, that's going to do it for today. If you guys want to download this template for completely free, there's a link in the description to join my free community where you'll find the link to download. It's full of people who are passionate about AI automation, and it's a great way to network with like-minded people. Every time I upload a new video, I also upload the video resources here, so you'll always have the templates ready to download. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of the video. I hope this answered all of your questions about Gemini 3 and taught you what you need to know about implementing it into your automations. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.